So we cannot discuss Liberia, we cannot discuss development, we cannot discuss anything meaningful in our country without money, without the economics. So this afternoon, we're going to be discussing on the Business and Economic Forum. Of course, the name is Business and Economics. So you're going to be hearing about economics. A lot of time we waste so much time on other things. I'm not saying they are not important, but the main engine for any country, that's the economy. So again, before I bring in my guest, enjoy this song and dance a little if you can. Come on, William, thank you so much. I like how you're getting down. William, you are the most excited tonight, so I'll turn over to you to introduce the topic of the day.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. So our topic today, tourism, Liberia, the love of our country, Liberia, tourism. How is tourism? How can it be a tool to help with economic development, economic progress in our beautiful country of Liberia? Many of us have different memories of enjoying our beautiful country, whether it's at the beaches or going to the falls or driving through the rubber plantations or going downtown to the History Museum, going to Ducal Palace. So all of these things that we have, waterside, I mean, just the hustle and bustle, all these things going on. And so today, what I want us to do is to kind of get a good idea, a frame around tourism in Liberia. Are we operating at our potential? Is there room? And if we're not operating, what are some of the challenges and constraints that we have? And is this something that should be solely rest on the shoulders of our government? Or is this something that the private sector need to look at and look to take a more proactive approach and involvement in it? And of course, yes, it is true. Here on the news, a lot of civil unrest, but hey, that is part of life. That is the people's right to protest and so forth. We can't deny that. But is it impacting this sector? So what can we do? And so just very happy to be joining you, Dennis, our host. And I mean, once again, it's a pleasure to have you on. Therefore, you already know you bring that good reality check on us. And we have our man, Mr. Alex Chuchu Jones, who's joining us also, who, doesn't spare no words.
Oh, my gosh.
Spare no words. So we want to have this conversation. We want to have this dialogue and let it be something that is healthy, constructive, and how we can move forward at the end. Thank you so much, and let it begin.
Thank you, William. Mama. I want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. Welcome to the Business and Economic Forum. We are discussing the tourism sector as we have been discussing Liberia Diaspora investment. We have, as William has said, William King from he's in California. We have Mr. Depu Zuo, that's our economic consultant and a major contributor to the Liberian Economic Plan in the name of the PAPD, the Pro-Po Depu Zuo. Now, from this is our trade expert. He's Mr. Amin Moda. Mr. Moda, welcome to Focus on Liberia. I will let Mr. Zuo introduce you a little more, but we are so excited to have you, and it's our pleasure to welcome you for the first time to our Business and Economic Forum.
Thank you. The pleasure is actually mine. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. And without further ado, I want to turn over to Mr. Depu Zuo, who's going to be driving tonight. This afternoon, Mr. Zuo is all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. Thank you. It's an opportunity for me again to be here today. Good to see Ellis and William back. But our host today, our guest today is Mr. Ami Modar. Ami Modar has vast experience in the trade sector in Liberia. He started with an integrated framework at the Ministry of Commerce as a consultant and to work on the trade policy. I remember we worked on the trade policy some years back, and having worked with vast experience in the Commerce Ministry, he had gone into a private life. He actually runs one of Liberia's own hotel in Liberia, Bella Casa, and everybody that ever visited Liberia of late will know right before getting to City Hall or immediately after City Hall, you meet with Bella Casa. And he has a great talent. He actually been involved, in fact, he's developing something about the fishes again. So he's a businessman, Liberian young man. I remember that our class, golden class, we used to say we'll create a middle class. And he had jumped the gun to start a middle class. So I'm glad to have him here today. And also he's a guy who actually have vast experience in dealing with the region, ECOWAS region. In fact, the WTO as well when it comes to trade. So it's good to have you here today, Mr. Modar. But one of the major concentration here, our major concentration here is looking at a report that ranks Liberia as the best country to host the world for helping strangers. And you know, one of the major things here, our concern is that do we really recognize the report as a country? Is that advantageous for us as people? How do we look at that? It's an opportunity to make sure that we boost our trade industry. How do we do it? Besides that, you are aware that from 2016, in fact, from 2015 up to now, the service industry has contributed immensely to Liberian GDP, beginning from, let's say, 48% up to 2019, which is around 46%, meaning that that's a greater potential area for Liberia to grow its economy. So we have brought you here today to share your experience as a Liberian investor, business owner, and also discuss and engage our diaspora community to see what are some of the opportunity and potential we have in the sector. So you are welcome.
Well, thank you. Should I proceed?
Please.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you again for inviting me. I almost did not make it. Depu kept on sending me messages over. And indeed, Depu and I have worked for years together. I represented Liberia at the WTO for a while, and he was one of the economists who we always engaged on the economy. Look, indeed, Liberia has a lot of opportunities in respect to tourism. It's immense. We haven't really appreciated the kind of opportunities we have to advance not only the economy but the society through, you know, the environment, the touristic environment that we have. Believe you me, I visit. One of the things that I try to do when we're trying to develop the trade policy and to look at how we can propel Liberia for the future, I did a study tour and I visited Rwanda. I visited one or two countries that had similar background, coming from a conflict background and also being a least developed country. I visited Sierra Leone, visited Malaysia, but it was to see the level of opportunities we had and what other people were doing. And trust me, all of these countries did not have as much as Liberia had to advance its economy. Many of these countries don't even have the resources in terms of the extractive resources to boost the economy. They rely on tourism and they are doing well. At the forefront, the tourism could boost the economy from the core. It will boost the society. If you want to develop tourism, you have to go within the communities. You know, look at our history, look at our communities, look at our artists and artisans. So tourism by itself has a propensity of spreading wealth equitably and boosting the economy from within, not only targeting the middle class. But again, what's good about tourism, a lot of sectors can piggyback on the growth of the tourism sector. Because if the hotels are functioning and doing well, you have the marketers supplying those hotels. You have the laundry services working. You have so many sectors will be able to take part, and benefit from the tourism sector. Indeed, any good news at this time will be a positive thing for Liberia. So such a news or a report that states that Liberians are one of the top in the world to help people is a good thing. One of the reasons we haven't been able to really capture the immense benefits of the tourism sector is that having been out of war for about 16 years, we haven't really done very good as a people and as a government in changing the image of Liberia out there. And the Ebola crisis did not help. So if you look at the market for tourism, they still see Liberia as a post-war country, as a country that just had Ebola. So it requires a lot of effort by the government. I like to throw a lot of things to the government, even though a vibrant private sector can take charge and do a lot. And we have been doing a lot. But the government needs to create that environment, that conducive business environment, that conducive, cohesive environment that will send the messages out there, positive messages. We need to rebrand Liberia. And believe you me, the ongoing dissension that's brewing within the economy, within the society, doesn't help. The fact that students, civil servants, and people are expressing the dissension, the dissatisfaction, doesn't help the process of rebranding the country. Granted, I do believe it's a positive thing in terms of signifying democracy and tolerance. If the government takes the lead on it, it shows tolerance. But we need to come together. We really need to refocus on rebranding the country. It takes a lot of effort. We tried one point in time when I was with the WTO, leading the WTO effort, to do a marketing exercise where we did a video that could have been published out there, that could have been, placed on various news agencies that will market Liberia. You get online, you see Indonesia, you see Afghanistan, you see Philippines, you see countries that also have socioeconomic issues. They also have political problems. Some of them are still going through war, but yet still a serious effort has been done in marketing the country. And I think that's where we need to go as a people.
Thank you very much. I think the best word that we discussed the last time on the phone is the rebranding. And I was expecting the information minister to be here and look at the rebranding strategy for government. And we hope that he will join us later. Mr. Eugene Nangbe will join us. But in the meantime, thank you so much for the introductory statement. Well, I will give chance to my colleague to give their introductory statement and also welcome you. I will start with Alex.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Zua. Again, it's always a pleasure to discuss Liberia's economy or business. And so I'm a very proud man today to see another Liberian man, making business and building something in his own country. So again, much, respect to you, sir. And thank you again also for taking your time to come on. As Mr. Zua said, we invited the Minister of Tourism to come join the show. And unfortunately, we didn't hear back to him. So in my opinion, I think that just doesn't make the case of rebranding your country when you have an opportunity to come out. You have business people who are involved in taking the money and the time to build something, and you are the minister who's supposed to be driving it, and you don't even show up. So I know most of Liberians disagree with my stand, but I believe in professionalism. And we all here have jobs and times and businesses. And we can take our time to help to come and talk about our business development in our country. Nobody should be too high or too big. So again, thank you for coming on as we go along. Hopefully you can give us some insight on the development of your hotel. You can give us a better scope of how things are and what areas of other opportunities that perhaps some of us in the diaspora can be a partner or can collaborate. So again, much respect to you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mr. King.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. King probably went off on a break, but
okay. So, Mr. Jad,
yeah,
we're back to you.
Mr. Moda, once again, welcome so much. Even in your introductory statement, you cover so much grounds that I can't wait to hear more.
I think I kind of jumped the boat there. I went far.
No, that's you whet our appetite. So, and we'll be posting the number I posted the number for people to call in very early, because I know this is one area where, because people got to know, people got to see us, people spend billions of dollars in marketing something, because if you sell it, that's why when you mentioned rebranding, I was like jumping up and down in my seat, because a lot, and this is one reason why I focus on Liberia was born, because few things people know about Liberia. Okay, Liberia is the country that was founded by free slaves. Liberia had the war, Ebola, and female president. That's it. So rebranding is very, very important. But Mr. King is back, so let me give him the opportunity to have his time.
Thank you, Dennis. To me, just a little bit about myself. Live in Southern California, went to University of Southern Cal, been in California since 2003. I worked 13 years for the utility company, and also at the same time doing some real estate. I'm a very passionate person when it comes to Liberia. There's a deep love for Liberia that I have. And, you know, when I first heard about the focus on Liberia coming on, just hearing something different from the political side, that the focus was more from economically, how can we move Liberia forward? And one of the things that I'm currently working on with some of the folks that are on this call is looking how we can mobilize Liberians in the diaspora as well as Liberians in Liberia, and see how we can take control of some of the moving pieces in our economy, and not having to maybe kind of always revert to the maybe safe approach, which is looking and saying, what can the government really do? So that's what this focus on Liberia, the Economic Forum, really helps us do, is to kind of identify, look, and see what's moving, what's not moving, and how we can get involved and start the conversation. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mada. I know that you've already informed us about the need for rebranding Liberia is one of the main strategies here today. But in terms of tourism sector, what are some of the potential areas that you think Liberians abroad, diaspora Liberians can get involved with, and also what are some of the partnership opportunities that are available in Liberia?
Okay, thank you. Look, I'm not trying to be egotistical. I think the program is to encourage Liberians from the diaspora to try to invest in Liberia. Even though, as many of you know, I have been vocal in expressing some of my dissatisfaction on how things are going in the economy, sociopolitically, but I'm a diehard person as far as encouraging Liberians to return and invest in Liberia. Everybody has their story in the U.S. I lived in the U.S. for about 11 years. There was a period, I would say that there's a period in my life that I even slept in cars, took shower in truckers filling station, and experienced the worst side of hustling and poverty. But a lot of my success, a lot of the success that I've had so far has been from here. And one of the best decisions that I've made in my life is to remain focused and return to Liberia and pursue business. So I encourage Liberians in the diaspora to really take that risk. You know, try as much as possible. I understand the difficulty, but to invest not only in the tourism sector but in Liberia. Having said that, look, you have Sierra Leone, you have you have Senegal, you have Ghana that are making serious progress from tourism. They're even marketing themselves as marketing the slave trade, the negative part of our history, and they're making millions. In trade and in the tourism sector is called tourism ticket. Tourism ticket is whatsoever that's generated through the tourism sector. It starts from the media. It continues to the travel agencies and the airlines that book tickets for people to come into the country and enjoy. It comes from the revenue at the airport that the government gets from even selling, selling brochures, the car rental. There's an entire chain that surrounds the tourism sector that anybody can get into. I'm proud. I see several Liberians getting into car rental, getting into travel agencies, and those are just the beginning of the chain. But in time, even a cook shop should be able to, a cook shop or gigabyte should be able to tap into the revenue, into the ticket, the tourism ticket. Because when people come in, they want to try your cuisines, they want to try so many other things. So a lot of people, a lot of sectors can be developed if the tourism sector can move forward. Now, if Senegal can be marketing the slave trade passage, and Ghana can be marketing the slave trade passage, what about Liberia that has in history where the free slaves returned? Do you know how immense that is? In 2007, I remember when Bob Johnson visited Liberia, I was at night, and I was coordinating the visit. And one of the actors who came with him was this lady, the renowned, the legendary Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson was one of the main actresses in Roots. So she researched Liberia. She understood the history of Liberia, and she had never visited Liberia. When this lady got down from the airport, the first thing she asked for, I want to see Providence Island. Because in her research and that legendary movie that she made, there were aspects that pointed to where the free slaves returned. When we talk about the Providence Island, this calm, intuitive lady was so angry and pissed, seeing the dirt, seeing the filth that was there at that time. She wanted to get into the water. She wanted to feel the water, where she felt that her people returned. She did not see it as, American Liberians, indigenous. She saw Liberians as her people, where her people came. Can you imagine if this was marketed just in the U.S. for African Americans, coupled with the economy being liberalized to the point where we encourage people from the diaspora, whether Liberians who have resettled or African Americans, to come back home? How much this will impact the economy and provide opportunities for all of us. So when we talk about rebranding, that's where we're supposed to go. Look at the ongoing debate about citizenship. That doesn't help. Ghana and other countries are opening the doors to foreigners. There was a period in the 80s and late 90s where the Ghanaians said, come back home. And the doors were flooded with African Americans coming back to Ghana to resettle. It was a boost. It was a strategic boost to the economy. Which other country in Africa could be more categorized as a home for African Americans than Liberia? We don't have our trade tickets is not benefiting from it. You don't have African Americans visiting in that way. We need to look at this branding holistically.
Thank you very much. Besides, I think that's one great important area you just touched. The Providence Islands is actually a symbol of freedom. And in fact, you look at Liberia to say, land of liberty is an area that we have to take advantage of and market it for the rest of the world to know. First of all, there should be some historical, documentary on that. And having said that, beside the Providence Island, what are some of the natural reserves that we have reserved? Some of the areas that you think, waterfall and rest of the things that will be more attractive to tourists and other people? What are some of the infrastructure, the opportunities that are there?
Just a few that are prominent. You're looking at the Pataway, the Lake Piso. The Pataway is beautiful. Lake Piso has been designated as a site of wetland importance, global importance because of the wildlife and the flora. You have, don't underestimate the Sapo National Park. We should be making millions from the Sapo National Park. We have unique species of animals in Liberia, the pygmy hippo, the pygmy elephant, the duiker deer, and so many other things that we could tap into and make Liberia an eco-touristic site. Look, let me tell you, we have deviated from the trend we had in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. We're making progress. Do you know the Tarzan movie that became popular? I think it was in the 50s or 60s globally, the Tarzan movie. The chimpanzee that was in there was from Liberia. It was brought from Liberia, and it became a whole big thing in the US and in the world when Tarzan movie became a prominent movie. I even understand the chimp that was sent the first chimp that was sent to space came from Liberia. So, I mean, there are so many things that we could do here. Go into our hinterland, and some of the, you asked for to name some of the places, some of the touristic sites that we haven't explored those regions. We are just now opening roads to them. You go into Nimba, you go into Lofa, you will hear historic traditional stories about a mountain, about a hill, surrounding mysticism. All those things are touristic. And those are things that we need to sell out there.
Okay, before we come back to you, Mr. Mada, I would like to give opportunity to my colleague, Dennis.
Yes, as he was saying that, because the first thing that struck me is, I want to go back to and be like Ami, but where do I start from? Because you have the experience already. You gave your story of even to the point of taking shower at the truck filling station. But now there you are, owning a hotel chain in Liberia. I'm in your same situation. Where do I start?
Perseverance and focus. You really don't have to have money to start. When I came back to Liberia, I took a loan of $30,000 from EcoBank. So money is not the first thing that I think should be the paramount driving force for getting into business or not getting into business. Well, I mean, not having the capital. Your imagination, your perseverance, your willingness to just forge ahead will be the first few things that any successful entrepreneur should be looking at. There should also be a sincere need, a component should be a sincere need of fomenting change, fomenting development, looking towards business and enterprises that also enhance the society, enhance the economy, create employment. So it's a huge responsibility pursuing entrepreneurship and business. And with those challenges, there are immense rewards. And I would say just be focused. One of the things we tend to do in Liberia, we tend to duplicate or try to do things so much that other people are doing. We need to be creative. We need to find our own space. When I came back to Liberia, there were hotels, Liberian hotels. All the hotels were owned by foreigners. There was only one major one, which was owned by Mr. Sam Gibson at that time. So I looked at a market niche, an opportunity that I could move forward, and that's what I would encourage you to do. There are so many other businesses within the chain of tourism, within the general scope of the economy that you can do that will support tourism and support economic growth.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are on the Business and Economic Forum, and our focus today is tourism. Our guest is Mr. Amin Modad. He's the owner of the Bella Casa Hotel in Monrovia. Back to you guys. Let me start with Ellis Chuchu Jones. I know you have something for Mr. Modad.
You know, I'm speechless. I don't think you can believe that. I'm very speechless because this man has said just about anything I could say, that we don't need all the money in the world to build our country. We don't need the right political party in office. We don't need, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. Let me just give you an example. I mean, focus on Liberia. It's a media. You talk about promoting Liberian culture, promoting Liberian image. What better way today can you do it by having a platform where people can come to and see what's actually going on in Liberia? And yeah, Mr. Amin, you see actual people, you know. But then again, when some of us try to talk these things, there's a whole barrage of people just think that, oh, if you're not politically or you're not supporting this person or the other person, then Liberia will not be built. So, like I said, I'm speechless because you just proved my point that we should be controlling our economy. You made the point of when you went back to Liberia and there were no Liberian hotel that was owned by Liberian. I mean, that's a disgrace to us educated people. To me, you know, I don't know how some of my colleagues or other people feel, but why should my country why don't we own things? Look at our banks today, which is an area that I have a lot of expertise in. And I will ask you the question later on, but I'm sure you need financing. I'm sure if, like you said, the very loan that you got to start your bank, it came from EcoBank. That's not even a Liberian bank.
Right.
So when I talk about these things about banking, let's fix our banks, because if our banks is fixed today, and Mr. Amin can tell you can build 20 of Bella Casa around easily. We can give you a loan because you're already proving that you can do the job. You pay us back, but we can't rely on another country bank to give us money to finance our own success. So again, you know, thank you for coming on, and hope more Liberians who are either into business or who are interested into moving our country forward will follow your example. You know, so I know I can be a pain sometimes, but I think I have a legitimate reason, because, you know, this is what we should be talking about first and primary. How do we support our Liberian businesses? How do we join together? How do we build infrastructure in the private sector? And then we can, you know, we can have more influence on the government and on the future leaders. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, let me get in here. Thanks, Alex. I want to push the needle a little bit, and I want to talk about some of the brutal challenges that when we look at Liberia and we compare Liberia to other tourist destinations. So one of the things I went and I had the pleasure of visiting Roberts Port, and I shared that image for Roberts Port with everyone. And let me go to it right now. Okay. Can everyone see it?
Not yet.
Okay.
You gotta share your screen.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you know, this is Roberts Port. And as we look at some of the things here, and then we have Nana's Lounge, right? Now,
Right.
Something very interesting stands out. And what do I mean? What I mean by that is that there's a hotel that used to be in Roberts Port. There's a beautiful hotel that used to be in Roberts Port. Let me bring it up. And do you guys see that? Now it's in a ruin. So the hard question here is, when I look at Nana Lounge, when I went there and I look at this hotel, the question is, what are we missing here? When a Liberian looked at something like this, I'm sure people had in mind, can I renovate this and move on and do different things? So the tough question I want to ask, because in business, you have to be able to answer those or address those without pointing any finger. The question is, why why haven't this place been developed? But more on a straightforward, this hotel, why was this hotel left and someone decided to go with Nana Lounge? What are some of the things that we're not seeing, maybe that we're a little bit naive? Are we too naive, or is there something there that we're just missing? I mean,
okay. Sure. Someone wants to come in, or should I?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. You can go. I will come in to respond to the Cape Mount issue.
Okay. Look, a lot has to do with the government. You know, I'm not going to point fingers, but in the general terms, the government needs to create the conducive environment for Liberian entrepreneurs to thrive and to take risks. Just as much as we are willing to take risks, if we are not given that space and that latitude and support, we are not going to make the kind of progress that we want. It's good that you brought this up. I tried to get that hotel. I tried to revive that hotel. The superintendent at that time was working with me. She reached out to me to see if we can do something about it. And we did some exploration. There were a lot of possibilities. There were a lot of also areas that would hinder in access, road access, the incentive. But at the end of the day, Cape Mountaineers themselves weren't ready for such a development. They made it so much a complicated process, so much a tribal issue. They wanted a sort of Cape Mount to come in and do that development. You know, at the end of the day, I backed out. In fact, when Bob Johnson came in 2006, right, or 7, we took him there. The guy fell in love with Cape Mount, okay? And again, some of the political undertones, he dropped whatsoever interest that he has for Cape Mount. Do you know, even though that hotel that you're seeing has prospect, the photo of the red building you showed before, do you know what building that is? That was built during I believe during the OAU period as an African library or museum to host not only Liberian artifacts or Liberian history, but also for West Africa. It was prominent. There was a good intent for that. And it is lying in ruins. But going back, you can have all the genuine entrepreneurs, Liberian entrepreneurs, wanting to move forward, wanting to get into business. You might see Amin Modad's success and say, I want to do it. But if you're not given the environment, I for one, I open by saying that I'm a hardcore person in encouraging Liberians to return. But I also tell you the brutal truth. The brutal truth is that the government needs to be this administration, if we have to move forward, since they have the responsibility now, government has to become more tolerant, very bipartisan, okay? I had a very bad experience, my own experience, maybe some of you know about it, with the airport, bidding for some of the stores at the airport. But with such an experience, do you think a Liberian entrepreneur like myself will want to advance and take any kind of risk? It makes it impossible. We don't have, that's why we don't have a coterie or a group, a large group of Liberian entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, because people are not Liberians and are encouraged to get into business. You know, our economy, I don't blame the foreigners. Our economy is controlled by the foreigners because we give them that space to do so. And that starts with the government's attitude towards Liberian entrepreneurs, promoting Liberian entrepreneurship and giving the kind of support. Yes, we do need financing. You rightly stated that if the right financing was around, probably there would be 3 or 4 Bella Casa hotels. I actually started building a hotel in Buchanan. Just before the Ebola, we had done the foundation. The intent was it was going to be larger than Bella Casa. It was going to be more a resort kind of hotel. Not one government official, past and present, has visited the site. Okay, When Ebola hit and we weren't able to move forward, we have already put hundreds of thousands into it. We can't get financing to support it, to continue with it, even though Buchanan is strategically located as a conduit for most of our resources, and business opportunities there are immense. I couldn't finish it. Okay, the unspecialized financing that either target Liberian entrepreneurs or sectoral entrepreneurs. In a sense, if you go to some countries, you have agriculture banks. We had an agriculture bank before. You have tourism bank. You have a technology bank. You know, we might not be able to do such large structures here, you know, like a tourism bank or separate them, but you can still have funds dedicated towards developing critical sectors that tie into whether it's pro-poor agenda or whatsoever agenda there is.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mada, and thank you, Mr. Kim, for the beautiful picture from Cape Town.
Thank you.
Myself, I have visited Cape Town before Rawa Sports, and it was so much shocking that we have a lot of opportunity beside the beach you're looking at back there. You see a lot of infrastructure that you could use for attraction. But one thing that is a constraint is which the government of Liberia need to work on is the issue of land reform and land rights issue. Because one of the things is that the people don't easily sell to non-resident or citizen of Cape Town. But the question is that how do you get into it? And I'm sorry, this is international media, but the question there was that is there a way that you can marry a Cape Mountaineer and then you own the land? Yes. Then the guy said yes, Mr. Sue, if you do that, and you can own it in the property, and I started wondering, but how can government look at this great area with great potential? How can we develop it? It's just few miles away from Monrovia, the capital, compared to Ganta that is blooming today, or Buchanan. So how do we really improve the system? So it is very much important. But one thing I also want to stress here is that we have to look at some of the opportunity besides the willingness. There's a need for us to stress the infrastructure component, because without better infrastructure and access, investors will not be able to drive as far as Cape Town to further structure. In fact, we negotiated for a fishery company to go to Cape Town, and these are some of the constraints and the challenges they have. So if we want to invest, I would think the western part of Liberia, Cape Town is one of the best areas to start in terms of tourism. You have other area opportunities in Riverside, which I think a good area to also invest in terms of tourism. The beach in Riverside is very beautiful places, but there are constraints in terms of road access. You can only see those beautiful places, but there's no road going to these places. So that's why I think the priority for government to look at the road is very much important for them to actually fast track it. Yeah. Besides that, there should be a commitment from the citizens. I'm glad that the report is saying that we are receptive to strangers. Equally so, since we are receptive to strangers from outside, what happened to Liberians? Because it is important that we have to be receptive to each other. Someone coming from Grand Bassa should settle in Cape Town. Someone coming from Cape Town should also invest in Magibi and somewhere else to actually transfer resources and make sure that there are opportunities. So these are things that we need to look at in terms of our national development priority and issue of reconciliation and national development.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Debu. I mean,
yes.
What I want to say is we have to start looking at development within another contextual framework. So one of these things is that when you look at investment, right, there are many types. The one type that's there is that, hey, I give you this money, you do the development, you start paying me back within 6 months. You know, you need that. But how about vehicles that are out there that say, hey, take this money and I know it's going to take 3 years, 4 years. Do what you need to do. And also maybe there's some light on sharing of profitability or sharing development. Has anyone ever thought about maybe approaching the folks from Cape Mount and saying that, hey, we want to develop this, but guess what? We want you to have some skin in the game. We want you to, you know, we don't want to just come and buy the land and just develop and we keep moving on. Because I think maybe that's a little, they've seen that maybe too much, or they have a feeling that, you know, we don't want this thing to slip away. And some of us are more like, hey, this is here. It may cost, for example, $1 million to do this hotel, but if you're from Cape Mount, we want you to own 10%. We want you to own 20%. Later on, we want you to buy more ownership in it. But let's kind of get this thing started. Has there been any sort of approach like that? And there's just been a strict non-willingness that anyone can share some light on?
Okay, I will give Mr. Modar a chance. He was coming in, so then he can comment on that before I come in.
Thank you.
Let me give you my experience with the Cape Mountainians as far as land. We reached a point with my experience. We negotiated a parcel of land. They asked me if I wanted 10 acres. I said no. I only need 2 to 4 acres. If you really want to do a good project, you don't need 1 million acres or something very large. I only needed 2 acres, 2 to 4 acres. We surveyed the land. I have paid all the funds for the survey. We had an agreement. Just when, after the survey, we reached to the point to get documents, I was told that one of their sons in the USA, he wants that particular spot of land. Okay? He was partnering with someone who had just returned, was working with NEC, Election Commission at that time. So they took this land from me in 2007 till now. It has not been developed, okay? Whereas since that time, I've invested more than 6 to 10 million other places. So it has to come from within, the willingness to accommodate and be tolerant to other people. Right. The thing about tourism is, if someone puts, for example, Cape Mount, someone puts a hotel there, and the Cape Mountaineers themselves are progressive, so many other industries will develop. Okay, when someone put a 5-star, a 3-star hotel there, they will need about 40 to 100 persons. It will have to come from within the Cape Mount belt. Laundry services will have to come from in the Cape Mount belt. The food and products needed will have to come from in the Cape Mount belt. So there is so much trickle down benefits for anywhere where you develop tourism. Yes. Some of their approach was, in fact, at that time, one of the discussions I had with them was, listen, I don't want to take away the cultural aspect of this hotel that I'm going to do here. So when I do it, I will help you build a cultural center. And around this cultural center, you can sell cultural things, your arts, your creativity. So maybe, I agree with you. Maybe we need to approach it another way, find another way, you know, to get them to accommodate other people without marrying. I'm already marrying into Cape Mount. But I'm sure we can. But you brought a very good point. Partnership. Right. We have not been able to partner as Liberians. The foreigners come in, start a small shop, bring in a brother. That brother will persevere, work under him, and they will open the second shop. Or sometimes they come in, they pull resources together. Believe you me, if we had the mindset to invest in Liberia, Liberians in the diaspora, I wouldn't need a bank. All my investments so far, I don't have a single Liberian partner. I don't have a single partner, whether Liberia, I don't have any partners. If I did have partners, if I did have source of funding, yes, you will see multiple effect of that success trickling down. Liberians will underestimate the private sector. If Liberians in the US can come together, in the diaspora come together and create a pool or a fund that will support investments in Liberia, support maybe even a Liberian Business Association, well structured, where when you put in a dime, you know you're going to get 3% or 5%. It will work. But who's going to take the lead, and who's going to, you know, what will be the reception from the Liberians over there? We bicker and fuss on minor things. What about getting into business where you put $10 into it? I can tell you, if you have a huge investment, if you pull out $3 million fund towards you're able to get Liberians to put funds into it. Trust me, the guy who would have put 10 million will break that entire thing down with us. So there should be a stage where we can develop to work together. We can do so much if we can do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moda. I have a question here that we can, in terms of the tourism sector, there are something you have to look at is the job creation and the supply chain for this in a sector that will create more jobs. You talk about food, you know, in terms of catering services and food production. You also talk about laundry and all of these things. What are some? Is there a structure? Are there the Liberian Business Association? How is the Business Association structured in such a way that you provide opportunity for other Liberians to see how to specialize in certain things and how the market structure look like, so that people can take advantage and find their market niche to improve the system, the private sector?
I think that the Liberia Business Association in the last 1 year has developed. It is developing more than I've seen it for a long while. And I think there are a lot of prospects there. The current leadership is trying to, to stretch out, but there's still immense room for improvement. We need a structure, not only the lever, but structure our environment for Liberian entrepreneurs. Okay, look, let me tell you a story. The Israelis, how to do business. This Israeli guy went to New York, and the first thing he did, he went to the head of the Israeli community and said, "Listen, I want to produce coat suits." And the old man said, "Listen, I'll get back to you. Come back to me tomorrow." And the young man went back to the old man, the head of the Jewish community, the next day. And he said, "Listen, produce buttons. We already got 6 people producing coat suits, but no one producing buttons. We're buying our buttons from Chicago. So you produce buttons." His brother who came with him said, "No, I will do coat suit." The young man listened to the old man and they owned the buttons. And he became wealthier and more successful because he took his niche. And that niche was the buttons. He listened to everybody around there. We are not doing that here. Okay? We need to support each other. We don't need to cross carpets. For example, I recently, 2 years ago, opened one of the largest, if not the largest, Liberian food production factory plant. We're doing the juices, the water, and exporting palm oil. And instead of me going towards farming, I only need to empower the local producers who will supply me my products. Okay? When I started the juices, I was importing $48,000 worth of concentrates. And one of those concentrates was ginger, for the ginger beer version. Because the Liberian farmers, our farmers, did not have that market access originally. So they weren't in position at that time to supply the ginger, But within 3 months from importing ginger concentrate, I was able to source more than $4,000 to $8,000 of ginger locally. I didn't need to get into ginger production myself. So yes, it will come together and create market niches and to empower Liberians to take charge of various sectors without crossing carpet. We can spread whatsoever growth that might be able to come from the tourism sector.
All right.
I try as much as possible to source all my products from Liberians at my hotel that produce my security service Liberian. The fruits and vegetables we buy, unless we cannot get it on the market, we buy from Liberian suppliers. So if you have, in that attitude, if you have several Liberian restaurants succeeding and moving forward, or hotels, with that same attitude, you can just imagine how many other people that will come along in that supply chain and succeed.
Thank you very much. Now that you've opened the door for other services in terms of the supply chain, I believe that other Liberians that are listening will be able to express interest. And when one think about registering business in Liberia, how do you look at the prospects and the opportunity for registering business without coming on ground and people talk about, I'm taking you now to the issue of policy issue, transparency, and the accountability that any business person will say, Better Business Report will say, these are the indicators that one will be looking at.
As a country, we've actually made significant progress in developing policies and regulations that will support trade or support growth. These are you work in this sector. Before the previous administration, the investment code, the last time the investment code was updated was in 1979. Yeah. But again, between 2006 and now, we've developed a contemporary investment code. We have an industrial code, industrial policy. We have a trade policy. We have an SME policy. So we do have good policies on the book. We are just not following those policies. We're not implementing those policies. Okay, we are deviating from the targets and intent of those policies. One of the things that hampering us is that you have policies, we don't have implementation plans for those policies and a strategy to implement them. But if we do follow them, Liberians will be empowered. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Afin, for the information. For the viewers, you can go to Ministry of Commerce at moci.gov.lr. You will see almost all of the policy, the trade policy, the small and medium enterprise policy, everything, even the tourism policy, you also see it there.
Mr. Chairman, mind if I just add my 2 cents to what the man just said?
Yeah, Alex, before you come in, I want to bring in some comments and some of our callers on Facebook, but make your comment and then we can bring in some comments and then.
So I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is, I mean, you said everything. This is a solution. Unfortunately, in Liberia, we have a problem. We don't want a solution. Okay? Where do you mention, if people are taking notes and listening, you said, 1, the government has to promote tourism to the country, period. You said 2, Liberians, whether you're in America or here, you need to come together. You do not have any partners. You wish you had partners, okay? You mentioned everything we've been saying. But yet tomorrow, somebody can tell me the solution for Liberia is Alexander Cummings, or the solution to Liberia is Josh Weah. So hopefully, and then you go on other platforms. This is the only business and economic forum. So we talk business and economics here. And many Liberians don't want to participate in it because what they want to do, they want to be in a tribal organization. They want to be in a political organization. You talk about Kidman County. What discourages you from there? Tribalism. We have a freaking problem in our country. Unless we get serious people, that country will be the poorest as it is. And we can't brush these things over. And when people like me talk, some people don't like it because the thing is embarrassing either them or is embarrassing the whoever they like. Cummings cannot fix Liberia. Josh Weah is not going to fix Liberia because these people don't even have an economic plan. They don't have a tourism plan. They don't have a business plan. They are politicians. They're people who they want. People like you and me. We have to build our country. So when we come here to talk about these things, it's serious. The question I want to know is, how can I invest in your company? Please let me know that information. When you have another opportunity, please call me. Let the rest of Liberian people die poor. The ones they didn't die behind a tribal organization, and I'm a Bassa man. But I don't care whether I invest with a Loma man or a Gio man, because I can't help my people if I don't have the means. And we got to stop this tourism. They should erase all the bowlers, in my opinion. Because it's brought our country down. Our country don't even have an investment pool. So Williams is working on that. So you'll be hearing from us soon. We're trying to pool some money together. We're trying to pool some get Liberians in different areas. And that's what this show is about. We hope you come on more. We're not here to promote you know, to that pie in the sky. You went to Liberia, you slept. I mean, I drove Uber in my life. I wasn't always working at a bank. I wasn't always the Alex Jones, you know. I suffered too. So I know what it takes to build something. I know what it takes to invest money and lose it, hundreds of thousands. And
all
I still do it.
participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
All we're trying to say here is that let's keep our focus on, yes, a gentleman here, how can we make the country better, and what give us some tools on how we can come together to solve some of the problems you just mentioned. I know you're a businessman, and I don't expect you to go and talk against the government, so I will talk for you. I would tell you it's an idiocy for you to have a tourism industry, and yet you haven't invested a dime in it, in your investment budget. I was just looking at Liberian government budget. Not just this government, but all of the government. Not one political party has any manifesto to show that, hey, here's a source of finance to Liberian tourism or Liberian hotels or Liberian businesses. But every last one of them things, they're supposed to be leaders. And it left for me, dissolve the whole presidency and the legislature. We'll get 10 people as a committee and we all will vote directly on all subjects. End of story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. That's the
yeah. And, I mean, so
hold on.
Go ahead. What's it caller?
Yeah. We have a lot of callers on the line.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me speak to. We're talking about Cape Mount, and so people were asking, "Oh, why is the concentration is on Cape Mount?" But that's not so. But Cape Mount was just a case study, an example of what. But any plan that can be made, it shouldn't be like we're saying. You know, you have to marry someone from Cape Mount as a means of getting in there. But it should be a comprehensive plan. Those same opportunities that exist in Cape Mount exist also in Riverset, in Sino. I mean, where I was born, you talk about the Sapo National Park, that's where I was born, okay? And the species, sometimes our parents were not allowed to go hunt. I mean, the hills, the mountains, there are stories everywhere. I went to Florida, you go to a clear water, you look in the water, you can see the flow, the sand, clear. And that's a tourist area. So there's a whole lot of opportunities. So if there's any plan, that should be comprehensive, okay? And our people on Facebook, they say, oh, why Cape Mount alone? And Sando Khan, he's from Cape Mount. I'll read a comment later. But for now, let me give chance to our caller, who is 612-283-1859. Caller, your name and where you calling from.
Yes, hi, guys. My name is Winfred Russell, and I'm calling from Brooklyn Park in Minnesota.
Welcome.
So I've been listening to, thank you. Thank you. Say that again?
No, go ahead. Your question or comment.
Oh, okay. No, I just have I have a couple of comments just about it. I appreciate the conversation. I recently returned from Liberia. And for those of you on the call who follow me on Facebook, I've been writing a lot of short pieces. I'm not done yet on the tourism potential in the country. I mean, huge potential. Recently, just I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago, just put a piece up drawing attention to the Lonely Planet article that came out, and I've spoken to a number of folks about it, but sadly, many people, and that's fine, I can understand that. Many people don't understand or don't seem to understand what a gift, it is that's been given to Liberia by Lonely Planet. Liberia being listed as one of the 10 countries. The projection is that Liberia is one of the 10 countries that is going to attract a lot of visitors in 2020. That is a big deal. Lonely Planet is one of the premier travel publications in the world, not just in the US. And I'm really disappointed because I mean, that stuff, we should be jumping all over the place with it. The Liberian government certainly should leverage that and see how best we can push tourism, but unfortunately we are not. So I put it to the head of the Liberian National Tourism Association, to take that on. This doesn't have to be a government thing. I mean, tourism doesn't have to be a government thing. All of the people, all of the panelists that you have, they're all experts. I'm not a business person. I don't know anything about business. I'm a policymaker, and all I'm just trying to do is to say, I enjoy. I have a big passion for environmentalism and conservation and protecting our wildlife. Many people too who follow me know that some of the things that I'm passionate about. I was in the Society for the Conservation of Nature of Liberia when I was in high school, and participated in a lot of tree planting activities. So anyways, I come to this with a lot of passion. But let me just address some of the things that came up on the call. I don't think that, I mean, yeah, it's great that we build our infrastructure. Our infrastructure needs to be, in the country needs to be improved and enhanced and, throughout. But what we need now, that can come in later. What we need now, because if you look at Lonely Planet and what Lonely Planet is said in this article, in this piece, one of the attractions to Liberia is that the tourists that we're trying to attract, or we should be attracting to Liberia, not the tourists who are going to Bahamas or going to Las Vegas or going to LA. This is a completely different group of, tourists. So we need to be attracting the adventurous. How do we facilitate that? How do we get people to get into the country, push for policy so we have e-visas and visa on arrival? When they get there, they don't want to go to congested Monrovia, with all due respect. They want to go out to Titmount, where you have one of the best surfing spots in the world. How are we leveraging that? So even if the government is not doing anything, Mr. Modad is a member of the Tourism Association of Liberia. What is the Tourism Association doing on its own to market and promote those places? What are we doing to promote Sapo National Park? Liberia has the largest tract of the environmentally and ecologically sensitive tropical rainforest in Africa. We have the largest tract of the Upper Guinean forest is in Liberia. So we don't need government necessarily. We need the government to help. We need to embrace and reach out to the government to push some policies that will help. But we all need to get into this together. How are we promoting our local Liberian entrepreneurs? The Dalakata hotels and all of these places. Those are the kind of things that we need. We need to promote our local businesses. We need to promote tourism outside of the government. We can still do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let me go to my next caller and then I can bring you in to answer. And that caller is Charles King. Charles, are you there?
Yes, Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Apologize that I joined late today, so I haven't had the opportunity really to hear, the presenter, but I did hear the last person that spoke. And I'm just wanting to just join and say it's awesome to be in a place again where we as fellow Liberians can come together and see what's going on in Liberia and see how we can help. And one of the greatest things I think we can have, as the caller said before, great infrastructure. As that time comes, and maybe start to look at, what do we do as far as promoting what we have. But one of the key things that I like to add, excuse me, is the people. We need to invest in our people in Liberia.
Can you speak up a little bit?
As we begin as we begin to attract and bring on, if tourists are coming, we need to ensure that our people are ready to receive that, so we need to invest in our people, education, healthcare, and these are the areas that, we need the government to help in for the most part. So I just wanted to, and also from a private perspective, how we can do to help. We all have to come together to help build our country. So that's it that I want to just point out. Congratulations to, to what we are doing here, and especially to bringing it to forefront tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go back to you, Mr. Zuo, then we can go back to the line.
Okay, thank you so much. And I will also want to go back to Mr. King, who was about to make a comment. You are muted, Mr. King.
Yes, I'm here. So I know Alex had gone on that nice round, right, and just letting us know those things. But one of the things to just mention is, I think, options. And you always hear me say this, options. And I think that what we've been discovering along this journey on Focus on Liberia, the economic side, is that people want to invest, people want to do something in Liberia. And we just want to provide them the option to invest in a structured way. Yes, out of 10 people, we may get one or two, but that's a good start. I mean, there's about maybe 250,000 to 500,000 Liberians in the diaspora. If we get 10% of them, that can be 25,000 or that can be 50,000. That's a huge number. And, but invest in a very structured way. So to Mr. Modad's point, definitely, and to a lot of us, we may not all see eye to eye or may not see that, but I think that if we can get 10% to get started, but in a structured way, oftentimes what we have now in Liberia is there isn't a structure. So investment tends to be personal on a one-on-one basis. But to shock a lot of people, when you go to the bank to borrow money, the money that bank is lending you, sometimes those funds come from private investors or come from private citizens. And the bank is lending you that money and expecting a certain return. So that private citizen doesn't get involved in your business. They don't tell you what to really do, but it would be good if we could be at that table with the option and say that if somebody would like this option, there's a possibility here. And I think it's about time in this day and age and with the technology that's available at our fingertips that we begin exploring that. Thank you.
All right. Let me read some comments from Facebook. We were talking about Cape Mount, and when I said it's all Liberia, we're just using Cape Mount as an example. So Mr. Sisi Goya said, this is not what a case study is, Mr. Moderator.
You see?
You say it's being hard on you. That's being tough on you.
Yeah, that's good. Patrick Kennedy said, what kind of system can we put in place to improve our tourism sector, guys?
Okay, but
Albert Carr say, clean up and organize the Sunday and Poro societies and make the examination a yearly cultural festival that has a potential to bring tourists. Then Joseph Momba said, my brother, this current government is not a place for any sound-minded investor to bring their money. Mr. Ellis Jones is right that we need our own people to develop our country, especially we who that are in the diaspora. We need group economic by Liberian. Dave Jar says, tourism is one of the cheapest money-making adventures. It just requires strategic thinking. With little investment, it can generate a lot. Thomas Awaji, Liberians in the diaspora need to unite financially and then seek out major investors to collaborate and invest in the private sector. If we have money, investors will be interested. Back to you guys. You heard the comments.
All right. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Madar, another area that I want us to look at here, which of course is a better opportunity, but in terms of business, people look at they compare prices. You see that the tourism sector, in terms of costs, if someone is looking at comparing costs in terms of living standard and the accommodation between Liberia, in fact, other countries in the sub-region, you realize that the cost of hotel in Liberia is far higher than the rest of the country. And besides that, how are we doing the ranking of the hotels to know that the standard is set so that in terms of ranking, this is a 4-star, 1-star, 2-star hotel? Unfortunately, the Minister of Information is not here. He should answer this question, but can you still make input to this?
Yeah, it went off. So maybe you can answer that question, or Alice can chime in, so that we can be make it a little more.
Okay, look, I think, listen, most of the question has already been answered. The thing is, again, Liberian people have high head. You can tell them something is white, they will tell you say it's blue. There is no country we go to school, get all these fine degrees, MBA, masters in accounting. You cannot build a country when you don't have no industry. When everybody are individual. The man just said, I'm looking for partners. I build this thing, but I can't go further. Okay. Unless I get people. So we already heard the answer. We know what X equal. Why we keep again going behind? Oh, let's change government. Oh, let's ride it. Oh, Henry Costa. Oh, the other person. Oh, Ellen Johnson leave. Only when you see Kenya, Rwanda, all these places, they have industries. They have shareholders that they were Rwandans that got together. When I live in New York City, most of my friends were from Burundi and Rwanda. They all went back when they work at Lehman Brothers. And they're the ones who running Rwanda today. Their company set up programs where they went back home. They were giving loans. Some of them were giving jobs, houses, things like that. So it's not magical. Liberians are the only people who expect, I don't know, it's prayer or what thing. If you don't have number one banks, like the man just said, the interest rate in Liberia is 14%. Okay? Anybody who's done one little bit of business economics know that you cannot grow and finance your company if you do not have reasonable interest rates. So now, all your educated people now, how can we bring the rate down? That's what we should be talking about. Instead of talking about, Sano County and Maryland County, and I'm sick and tired. And that's what irritates me, because I hear this from the educated people. The one who said they get MBA. I was on the show last night with Dennis, the political show, and everybody that economist, everybody that banker. So when you hear the answer from somebody who's doing the job and saying, this is what I need. If we need this thing, we want to make Liberia tourism grow, we need to come together. We need to set up sources of financing. We need to make the government invest in advertising tourism. So let's all of us get together and write a letter now to the president on this man's behalf and say, sir, you complain about Liberians not investing. We don't go back home. Yes, a man there is investing. We on his behalf. Instead of all running behind politicians, I've never heard in Liberian history where a tribal organization built a hospital or a school. Please correct me. I never heard in Liberia where a political party, sorry, yeah, excuse me one second. I'm in clear water.
Louder.
Yeah, to beat. Sorry.
I'm old. I need my peace and quiet.
There you go. I'm on international TV. You meet this beautiful lady in clear water.
International. Yeah, you got to be louder if it's international.
International TV.
Where are you calling? New Guinea? New Guinea?
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Jai, you can go to somebody else.
Yeah, he's muted. Let me bring in one caller, 770-990-3519. Caller? 770-990-3519.
Okay, sorry, gentlemen. I'm in Clearwater, and this is a community.
And that caller is Sandro Carney.
Okay, hold on, Alex. Yes, Sandro, please go ahead. Your question or comment.
Oh man, you know, I right now though I have goosebumps because this is so exciting. This is really what we need. I have discussed with Alex, with Dennis, with William regarding, you know, this forum, and I'm so glad that we are able to have this. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, Amin and I went to St. Patrick's together. He's a big little brother to me. We were in Zanane together. I know how passionate he is, you know, for the tourism industry in Liberia. But again, as Alex said, there's no rocket science, right? We Liberians have to get together. Liberia cannot go ahead if we do not have conglomerates, right? I mean, people can prove me wrong, but I think the only conglomerate that Liberia had was the Mesorado group of companies. And they made most of the money outside Liberia, right? Because they were exporting a lot. So that's what we need. First, we need to do the simple things. Amin has lunch, buffet at his hotel. Instead of us going straight to Royal, we need to go to Amin's place and start. That's very simple. Start supporting the brother. Amin is here. He needs to excel in his businesses. So he needs investors. Liberians get together, as William said, put resources together and go and start helping. We're talking about building infrastructure in Liberia. Okay, we know we don't have roads in Liberia, right? So we know we don't have it. So we're not going to beat the horse dead and say we don't have roads. But listen, how can we get together and a group of Liberians get together and say, you know what? Let's get 3 or 4 helicopters that will be able to take tourists to the Sapo National Park. That will be able to fly tourists from James Spring Stream to Cape Mount, right? We can't just be talking. Let's see how we can do that. That's how tourism is built. Because guess what? If the tourists know that Liberians have helicopters, then guess what? We're going to get them. They're going to come because they want to surf at the best places. And if you even look at what Lonely Travel said about Liberia, right? As Russell was saying, I mean, they give specific places that the government right now and the tourism agencies in Liberia can look at and say that we need to focus on this, right? They talk about the Detroit Hotel. They talk about Monkey Island. They talk about the Sapo National Park. They talk about the Liberian National Museum. They talk about the Tubman Center of African Culture. They talk about Mount Nimba. They even talk about Waterfall Market. They talk about the Cape Palmas Lighthouse, Firestone Rubber Plantation, William Tubman Mansion. So all these places are internationally known. So what are we doing to get together and try to be like tax-paying, you know, conglomerate for the government to listen to us? Because if we pay taxes to the government and the government is depending on us to feed itself, they will listen to us. But we cannot be doing with a market, right? Someone gets 20,000, take it to Liberia, and then they go to the bank and say, oh, the bank is not giving us loans. What do you have for the bank to give you loans?
You are correct, Sandro.
Okay, so I will just leave it at that. And then I want to leave with this. The issue with land in Liberia, government or whoever needs to get land commission or anybody, if you hold a land for more than 10 years and undeveloped, let the government have eminent domain. Take that land away from you and let it be sold to people who want to develop it. Why should we hold land for 30, 40 years and do nothing with it?
Yeah, but Sandro,
I'll leave with that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Madar.
Yes. Okay. You want to say something, Dennis?
I will bring in. I want to bring in my last caller. I just wanted to tell Sandro that even the government has not been doing a very good job. So when government is taking somebody's land, there's a whole lot of issues surrounding land. So government cannot even be a very fair broker. But let me bring in my last caller. Caller Zeze Goya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Zeze Goya. That's the man who said.
Yeah, this is.
Who was saying about Kidman? Go ahead, Zeze.
Well, so yeah. First thing I want to say, thank you so much, Chairman Dennis Ja. Full disclosure, Ja was at one point in time my campaign manager. So let's disclose that before we start doing the heavy hitting. But I want to be very thankful to the Liberians on the panel. It's always a good thing when we can come together and have a discussion and be able to functionally disagree for the upliftment of our country. There are a few things here I've been following through and I wanted to highlight a little bit. The first thing is, to my brother Alex, who went on a tantrum, went way off on a tangent about, we can have a committee of people to run a country. You always need a government. You always need government policy. The other brother on the panel was talking about interest rates and how can those come down? How can there be policy so that when you try to register your business, not taking forever? All of those require government. So there's no way you can operate outside of the government. So when you talk about political institutions and other stuff, you have to be political, because if you're not political, there is not an economic system that is not politically based. So let's try to get rid. We can agree that there is an inefficiency in our political system, but that does not call for the complete dissolution of a political system. The next piece is I think we're doing this thing haphazard. I think we put the cart before the horse. I've been in Liberia several times. I go to Liberia twice a year, every year, just for full disclosure. I run a non-profit in Liberia. I'm a teacher. I'm a mathematician and an engineer. So I run non-profits in Liberia where I take books and go and train teachers in the hinterland, in the rural places. There's never been a time where I went to a rural place because of the hotel that was there. And so I've gone to Liberia twice a year for the last 6 years. The one time I ever lived in a hotel was during my wedding, when I spent one night at Belakesa. Because the hotel is not an attraction. If you need people, if you need tourism, if you need the tourism industry to prosper, you need to highlight the natural resources in those places. And then the hotels will benefit as a result of people visiting those places. So take, for example, in one country, Tatawi, for waterfalls. If you start to highlight Tatawi, then people who build hotels and motels in those places benefit because of Tatawi. But if you go and build a motel somewhere, say, for example, and not to pick on these people, but there's a motel in Painesville that's been there forever when I was in high school, a Yela Motel. Yela Motel was just there because of convenience. I've never stayed in a motel since I've been going to Liberia because I wanted to see something in a motel or in a hotel. But if I went to a place like Big Piso, if I went to a place like Cape Mount, where like Winfrey also said, because of the surfing, how great it is for surfers, then I have to stay in a hotel, and then the hotels will benefit. So instead of coming on here and trying to talk about how hotels are faring badly, I think one of the biggest things we need to do is to first try to highlight those natural resources. Nobody ever travels somewhere because of a hotel. So for example, when you try to talk about Johnston, right? The guy who bought what's the place? Kennedy, and he was trying to go to Kidman. Right, the man bought Kennedy, a cultural resource, by the way, that should have never been sold in the first place. But that's a whole different argument for a different day. Right? Built a hotel in Monrovia that he cannot even make profitable. Because again, there is nothing people are coming to see that makes them to try to stay over there. So as you taking that man to Cape Mount, without trying to sell Lake Piso and other places, he would have gotten out of business a long time ago and sold that place out. So I don't know what the whole concept of this discussion is, because I got people running all over the place talking about Liberians coming together and patronizing. It's not about patronizing their own businesses, or it's about highlighting the tourism industry in Liberia. Because just because you're Liberian doesn't mean I have to come and buy from you if your customer service sucks. Because people who are in businesses, in Liberian-owned businesses, have to realize that you have to compete. Just because we're both Liberians doesn't mean I have to come and buy from you if you don't see me as a customer. If I have to come and stay and wait for you to be on Facebook or talking to somebody on the phone, and I'm sitting there waiting for you in line, and your customer service sucks, I'm not going to come back to you. And if you're looking for investors, then I need to be able to look at what is your feasibility study. You never produce any feasibility study, but you want me to be an investor.
Mr. Goya.
Yes, sir.
Just hold the line. You hold the line a bit. Let my panelists respond to you, because we are not just talking about hotels. So,
Well, I think, thank you very much, Mr. Jai and Mr. Chairman. Again, our partner, I think the gentleman said he's a teacher, but I think he needs to take some notes, because I'm going to share with him on the screen what I just said. This is the Federation of Switzerland. Switzerland is the most developed country in the world by any measure. It does not have a president. If you can read, go and read that. Nobody said that you can't have a governance. Nobody said, that you can't have a different structure. What I'm saying, the current structure in Liberia is not working. It has not built our system. You can develop a new one, you can improve it, or you can do something else. So don't misconstrue me, and don't give false facts that no country in the world, that every country in the world has a president. So that should be your education today. Okay, thank you very much. Secondly, you said that. You said that. You said Alice will want a tantrum.
I did not say every country, my brother.
I said Liberia shouldn't have a government, and that was not what I said.
Listen to my brother.
But you had your time. You went on for 5 minutes. You had your time. You went on. No, sir. I think you need a meeting. He had his time. No, you had your time. You don't come on people's show and interrupt and make comments and then. Can you mute this man, please?
When I started the conversation,
no, you have your time.
No, Mr. Jai.
Nobody interrupted you. Let me finish. But you are not being respectful. You had your time. You went on for 4 minutes.
Mr. Goya, you will come back. Ellis, just address the issue
about... when the man, Mr. Goya, was speaking, nobody put him in a cocoon. So nobody should put me in a cocoon. He had 4 minutes to speak. I only need 2 minutes. So please let me speak what I have to say.
Okay, Mr. Tu, I got you 30 seconds for now because of time.
Oh, so you get a man 4 minutes to talk nonsense, and he gave me 30 seconds to respond to it.
Mr.
They won't fix Liberia. They won't fix Liberia.
Mr. Jones.
Let me respond to the man.
No.
Yes. All right, I don't want to respond. Let him say what he has to say.
Yeah. So let's.
So Mr. Jai. When I started my.
Hold on, Mr. Goya.
I'm holding.
Because the premise of your question was we were only discussing hotels. You are saying let's talk about tourism, because when you have those tourist attractions before building the hotel, then people will go to the hotel. So that was not the case here. We talk about tourism. Mr. Moda listed all those areas, and then we went into. Even though he owns a hotel, but he does a whole lot of things. So those were the things that we're highlighting. So I'm
not disputing that, Mr. Jai. And here's the thing: sometimes when we listen,
everything that we said,
Mr. Jai, I did not say that. What I'm saying is, I said the sales pitch, because the longest time you guys spent on this show has been discussing hotels. And I said, maybe we'll put in the car before the house. I haven't said none of you guys have ever discussed that. I said, maybe if you try to sell those natural resources, then the hotels benefit.
All right, can we move on, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Goya.
Can I go to another point?
We can go to Mr. Moda. Mr. Moda, I know we have had a conversation before. One of the questions I just asked, unfortunately, you have gone off the line, is that around the world, we look at the tourism aspect of it, but in terms of cost of living and the experience in the location also affect, the market. How do you compare Liberia's rate in terms of the accommodation, transportation, and all of these things? And I realized that in the sub-region, the cost of hotel, transportation, car rental, and rest of it is a little bit higher than the other. How do you attract, customers, and how do you make this place more attractive for people? Even Liberians who taking vacation home, how do they feel comfortable? Because they might end up going to family home and might end up just remaining in town when there's a car rental service at more expensive availability of transportation, all of these things. These are things that, how do you look at it?
Well, unfortunately, the cost of doing business is extremely high. You are very right. The rates in Liberia are far higher than almost anywhere I've been. you'll pay $49 to $100 for a very good room in a 4- or 5-star hotel in Las Vegas. You'll pay $100 here for a 2-star. It's because of the cost of doing business. I have 40 bedrooms in my hotel, mixed with suites and rooms. It cost me 14 grand per month on fuel alone to run the hotel. So the costs associated with running businesses in Liberia are prohibitive, and no business in the business of losing. So those are some of the things. We're still importing food stuff, my brother. It's unfortunate. Again, that's why we say there's a chain that develops with the tourism industry. We're still importing. If you want to provide 5-star, 4-star service in a hotel, the kind of ingredients you need in a restaurant, we are not producing them here. So we are at the mercy of the importers. Some of the things that you find that you find in the market here are 10, 20 times the price that you'll find them in the US. Some of us have been able over the years to maybe ship things to Liberia to have curtail the expense, but you still have fuel. You still have other utilities. I'm paying about $1,200 per month on internet, $14,000 per month on fuel. So even the workforce, the cost of the payroll is not as large as the other impediments, the other things that you talk about. A detergent that I need to use every day in the hotel here might be for a good detergent for a 3- to 4-star hotel might cost me $20. That same detergent in the US is about $4. So until it's a cyclical process, until Liberians get involved fully, into the economy, the prices will not go down. We are very few. There are very few Liberian hotels. So competition by itself is expensive for us. Whereas the foreign hotels have access to financing outside, we don't. So for us to compete, I think I'm the largest hotel competing now with the foreign-owned hotel. To compete with them, trust me, is costing me more to upgrade my services and be able to show and demonstrate that, listen, why pay $300 in Hotel X when you can pay $150 in Bella Casa or pay $100 in Bella Casa? Even that, there's a cost to it. So I agree with you. The infrastructure needs to be improved, but all these things have the propensity of reducing over time. Once the economy expands, once the cost of the cost of living improves, there is profit in the volume. Now, let me give you an example. Since March of last year, I haven't broken even. I need $64,000 a month to run my hotel. $64,000. Since March of last year, I haven't been able to raise $64,000. It's depleting my investment. Okay? Now, why am I not being able to raise it? There's a political undertone there. I'm not going to get into it. But also the purchasing power of the ordinary people have diminished. So some of the people that we expect will come and buy a sandwich or will come maybe for their wedding in Bella Casa or to use a conference room are not able to do it anymore. So you are in Government's Depot, all those things are connected. As things improve, costs will reduce. On my volume, if I'm operating at 30% occupancy, I'm not able to reduce my price to $90. I'm not able to reduce my price to $75 because if I'm getting out of my 4 rooms, I'm only 40 rooms. I'm only getting 10 rooms occupied monthly on an average. It means for me to meet up that my expense of $64,000 a month, my rate needs to go up to about 120, 130. And it's global. It's not only Amino Madad or Bella Casa that are experiencing such, but all the hotels are. So until we develop that, it's gonna be an expensive thing.
Thank you so much. I think the cost of doing business is one of the areas that why I'm asking a question. The cost of doing business in Liberia seems to be very high. But one major issue here that we have not touched here, in terms of the tourism area, is the beaches in Monrovia is where we talk about in terms of attraction. Wildlife and the rest of it, we have not touched in terms of our tourism discussion. Why is it that we have not had this conglomerate of beaches in Liberia, like other countries do? You go to Ghana, you're going to hit one beach, you go to about 12 locations, just one entry. How can we improve this? You know, had a beautiful land, beautiful beach location. How the collaboration has been so far in running beaches?
Well, firstly, I'm going to tell you, I'm almost finished with, if not the best beach in Liberia that you'll find in the heart of the city. I'm working on it, and I might be opening in dry season. Having said that, it also goes to urban planning. We are on the coast. You don't feel the coast. As our government, and it is not this administration, but all the administrations, we haven't prioritized tourism, and we haven't prioritized our coastal region. In other countries, the coastal areas are reserved for the public. But if you look at from West Point to ELW intersection, ELW, where we are all along the coast, you have private buildings occupying the coast. So you don't feel the coast. Tubman Boulevard is actually not far from what we'll call a coastal highway, if you remove some of those buildings that are privately owned. So we have already exhausted most of the beachfront properties in the Monrovia area. So I don't think it's about cooperation. It's about access to beachfront properties. Some properties are there now. I have been looking at properties that have been dilapidated since the war, but the owners are not selling. So you still have those, again, you talk about land reform, there are still several issues that need to be addressed. But putting that aside, there are still opportunities, there are still beaches going forward. But brother, there are a lot of issues hampering investment. We talk about access to finance. How am I going to invest $2 million into another hotel, Rabovi Highway, or
you're not making profit?
When I'm not making profit on the first one, I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I would think, and you interject this, I would think that if the government is going to prioritize and see the value of tourism, they will develop a funding to help some of the Liberian entrepreneurs or the businesses. Forget about Let me not say entrepreneurs, because it become personal. They will help Liberian investments into the tourism sector. Okay, there are several hotels out there that have risen and fallen down. We're still one or two Liberian hotels still keeping our heads up. You still have restaurants out there that need support. You still have other Liberian businesses tied into the tourism sector. Someone spoke about patronizing. It is critical. I still see, I'm not trying to disparage my foreign counterparts. I love competition. That's why I even got into the sector. But let me say this. I have the largest event hall. I still see government agencies going to smaller event halls in foreign hotels than the Bella Casa because of the political undertone. We still haven't, governance is still an issue. We're still in politics rather than focusing on governance. So how am I going to survive as the largest Liberian hotel? What example am I setting for any other Liberian in diaspora who might be interested in getting into the hospitality sector? We talk about attracting investors, Depu. We say we want to bring investors. The Liberian entrepreneurs who are succeeding now are your best ambassadors to attract foreign investors. If we have issues in surviving, we will translate those issues out to the investors. When investors come in, when people go to a town, they will see how the people live in, they will see how the town chief is. And if you come into my town as a foreign entrepreneur business, and you see a Liberian hotel, or you see that all the 20 hotels, prominent hotels in Liberia are foreign owner one, you must ask questions. We call this in business environmental scanning. It's not a good sound.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moda. I think I'll be giving chance to Mr. King, but one of the things that there is an issue of advertisement. We don't really see that much from the business circle in Liberia. We talk about rebranding. You will see a lot of beautiful areas, but the world has not had a picture of what are some of the things that are going on in Liberia. So I'm glad that for you, you have a website. But there are other areas that, in partnership with your business, how are you doing? How are you working or relating to other companies that are doing, investment in in other areas besides tourism. For example, you got Metal Steel, it's an iron ore company, but the reality there is that they should be in a position to showcase some of the accommodation or tourism site in Liberia by using either your website or somewhere that how do they accommodate people? How do they refer their customers or their workers? How are you doing that? In terms of marketing, advertisement, how are you doing it?
Deborah, you want me to put me into politics? I'm not.
That's what they're trying to do.
I'm not putting you into politics. I'm just looking for a way that how.
And he won't come to me. You go to other people. He's scared to come to me because you will get the answer you're looking for.
Yeah, I will put this question back to you. I will repose this question to you. Why in the world will Mitasi not be patronizing Bella Casa Hotel as the largest Liberian hotel, but they are still going to Hotel X, Hotel Y, and Hotel Z?
I think these are the area of concern that we have to be looking in terms of economic development. The investment climate will also depend on how we relate and how we communicate it out. Maybe one of the things that there is that we need to, I asked earlier, but you're offline, we need to look at the tourism sector. How do they do the ranking? If the government have a ranking or standard for hotel and say, look, we have ranked Bella Casa as 4-star or 5-star versus Boulevard Hotel is 5-star. So how do you do it? Because the man investor who is coming, he's going to look at the style of the hotel to make a determination. So
let me interject here. And again, I'm not trying to disparage or discredit or badmouth anyone. I'm not trying to bring any other hotel down. Okay. Boulevard Hotel just started operating, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Before Boulevard Hotel was operating, you had several other hotels succeeding and working hard to uplift the tourism sector. You have several Liberian hotels surviving a hard time. The first attempt by the government or by the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism to give ranking, it was Boulevard Hotel that got a 5-star ranking. Before any other hotel that had been in existence for the past 10 years or 20 years. Now, that question goes back to you. You understand? It has to be the policy to develop a sector or to develop Liberian participation in a sector must be predictable and must be a focused policy. I led Liberia's accession to the WTO. Sometimes people claim as a justification that you cannot provide certain incentives to Liberian business alone. That's a lie. There are provisions within all those protocols that allow you to promote your local economy. And the policies are there again. We have the policies. It's about implementing those policies. Okay? So until the government focuses on implementing the policies, we're going to have seriously, it's going to be a continuum. We're going to have this over and over.
Thank you very much. I don't want to appear that dialogue. I want to bring in Mr. King. Right. And interestingly, Alex is going to be coming on board.
No, I'm upset. I'm really upset today.
In a few minutes, I'll be taking leave for you.
We are about to draw down the curtain, so we still have. We closed the line, but so go ahead. Have that in mind. We have just 5 more minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Modad. I really want to thank you for coming on this call. Appreciate it a lot. The wealth of knowledge and the constraints, although it's the truth and the facts, is very painful to hear and to stomach at this moment. Something that I leave with is that we have a shrinking economy. And, with a shrinking economy, you're going to feel every single pinch. The other thing that I want to mention is that we have to look at a way to pull in the diaspora into the marketplace in Liberia. We have to look at a way to really do that because some of these things, by pulling them in, we want to drive down some of the cost of doing business. There's no way you can be sustained on that $14,000 electricity. So those are just some of my key points, and look forward to continuing the conversation with the expectation to present a solution that will look at resolving some of these things. Thank you, Mr. Amin.
Thank you.
Mr. Depu and Mr. Moda, why is government ranking hotels? Why is government ranking business? Who does that?
The government is in every business, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, why?
Because they made businesses supposed to take care of it, they don't know how to take care of it, so they got to be in other businesses.
I mean, there's a way that you can set standard in terms of setting standard for for hotel. That is regulation is supposed to be done by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism.
Right, regulation, but
regulation,
yes, but not ranking. I'm thinking here in the U.S., what are the federal government giving 5-star, 2-star? So that's surprising to me to hear. For me to hear, maybe I've been out too long.
Well,
Moda.
Yes.
He's asking why I say that the ranking is coming from government. Do you have a tourism board? I don't know whether we have a tourism board.
Well, one of the strategy, because we have a tourism strategy, and that was developed over within I think between 2010 and 2014. 14, yeah. One of the things that we looked at that time was making the Bureau of Tourism an autonomous agency to kind of draw out some of the political control. And I would think such a tourism board or a tourism institution would provide such a ranking. I don't have a problem with the government providing ranking, but it needs to be done predictably. The way it was done, the way it was started, it wasn't done with predictability and fairness, okay? When I raised the issue at that time, I think I was the only hotel that raised the issue. Some people say I was trying to be political, or I was against the new hotel coming right next to me, without understanding the precedents I was trying to set. Immediately, the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism responded by starting an exercise to do a nationwide ranking system. Okay, guess what? They started immediately to send people out. We haven't seen any official ranking of any other hotel. So right now, officially, we have 1 5-star hotel. Okay, so I think it's a good exercise if it is done with a fair basis. It will help us. It will help all of us to maintain and upgrade our standards. Because if you do a predictable evaluation of Bella Casa and see that, listen, according to international standard, you must have a swimming pool, you must have a gym, you must have a business center for us to give you a 4-star ranking, it would encourage me to put in those services to meet up to those standards. And I can tell you, Bella Casa has some of those hallmarks that make you a 3, 4, 5-star that even the large foreign hotels don't have. Okay, right. But still, we are not getting a Selamita and getting some ministries.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Minister Eugene Nangbe. If he cannot come on board, he's Assistant Minister for Tourism or whoever responsible for tourism to appear with us, and we can finalize this issue. Because the interesting thing about it is that Gambia, growing up, peanut was actually one of the major sources of revenue. But right now, tourism has actually surpassed it, and now they are moving faster. We cannot look at Liberia that the GDP right now is 46% come from service sector. And we are not preparing or coming up with strategy and policy that will make sure that you strengthen the sector in order to bring more opportunity, because the job creation comes from what? The tourism sector. You got more, that potential to create more job in that sector than any other area while we are chasing the money and the rest of it. You know, you can train many people. In fact, even the transportation industry is also tied to that. And so you look at airline ticket going to Liberia is far higher than airline ticket that's going to Sierra Leone or Ghana. why some of these things are like that. There are things that we need to look at. And I want to say thank you so much for coming. I will now turn the floor over to Mr. Ja. Since Mr. Jones doesn't want to say anything today, I'm just going to turn over to Mr. Ja.
Well, I want to take Alex's time for a second. I want to mention this.
I didn't say I didn't want to say anything. That man is trying to buy away. Listen, he's trying to buy away under the hole he not dig for himself. Okay, and that's not going to happen. So first of all, Mr. Eugene Nangwe is not invited on the show any longer. He's unprofessional. He's incompetent. He did not have the courtesy to even send us a letter to say, I cannot show up. This young man took his time for his business and came here. So I don't know what business and economic forum Mr. Eugene Nangwe is going to come on, but it's not going to be this one. We got to live by examples.
Alex, I hope we become tolerant and accommodating.
We were, sir. We ask these people all the time, but they take us for granted, and then we kiss the butt and we say, "Oh yeah, come on." And I'm a corporate guy.
This is not a forum. We will handle that.
Okay, so that's my view. Y'all can talk to him. I don't have anything to do with him, but we talk about But then he needs to call and apologize. That's what nice guy would do. That's what a businessman would do. Look, I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
All right.
I may correct me if I'm wrong. But
I agree. I don't know the extreme circumstances, but I will let you know. I will let you know if I'm not going to come on.
Exactly. That's all I ask of you. And we sit in America, we practice these things, but then when our own people do it, we say, oh man, let's just get along. And that's why our country is broken. And I don't live by that principle. So I live by professional. Whether you're in Liberia or you're in America, I treat you the same way, just as I want you to treat me. So thank you again. And let me just make my closing comment.
Yeah, we are really.
Yeah, but you see again, you get people and my close. Yes, my closing comment. Yeah, yes, my closing comment. This is a business and economic show. The idea to come on this show is to come and contribute knowledge, okay? To bring something in the business like what you did here today. You educated us. It's not for you to come here and call on this show, not knowing your own facts, and then we give you 5 minutes to talk garbage, and you think we're going to let you get away with it? Go read a book, okay? Look, until Liberians start to have a higher standard for themselves, like the way I look at your hotel. I'm not going to go to your hotel because you're Liberian. I'm going to go there because it's good. I'm not going to invest with you because you're Liberian. I'm going to invest with you because you're going to give me a good return or you're going to grow. And I will be right for doing that. So I know my colleagues that they're used to this thing or this patronage and this whole, I don't want a government position. Thank God how much I can get a job. But I care for my country. I want to see people like you succeed, and I want to put the time and the effort behind people who are serious. Not people who don't even know the left from right, and they won't talk on show. Go read a book. And we need education in our country. And hopefully we'll do it on this show. This show is not a show yet come and talk nonsense. The man is talking about how he's going to grow. He's giving you data for his financial, how he can improve his challenges. Just 2 seconds. Yeah, and nobody addressing that. And they're talking about other things. So this is not a show for that. Go on your political show. Thank you very much. Have a good
Alex, did that lady break up with you? Was that your girlfriend who broke up with you? That
yes.
Acting this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't worry. We have somebody from Kipmount you can marry, so we can go over there.
Mr. John.
Thank you, guys. Let me go to Mr. Modad for his closing comment, and we're going to be closing the show tonight.
Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me in. I challenge you to be more vocal on a lot of things. There's no way we can, people say that you can be in business or you can be doing something and be political. I say that's BS. Political issues affect how we do business. So I encourage you to be as vocal as possible, challenging the system. One of the key things that if we talk about attracting tourism, people for tourism in Liberia or tourists, the best target and the first target, the lowest hanging fruit is Liberians in the diaspora. So we must address and don't allow this administration, any administration, to do wrong by this citizenship. This dual citizenship issue must be addressed because we will lose a huge market opportunity by alienating our brothers out in the diaspora. Other than that, I encourage Liberians in the diaspora to come back to Liberia. There are opportunities. If we can get the government to provide the conducive environment, we don't need them for anything else. We just need to persevere, come together, put resources together. You want to invest in Liberia, you want to invest in the hospitality sector, talk to me. I might have opportunities for you. I think as Liberians succeed, we must open our investment to other Liberians to get share in them, and I'm willing to consider it. So thank you.
Thank you for coming,
sir. So much, Mr. Modar, for coming. And I think the overarching viewpoint is government indeed should create the opportunity, even though because the onus is on the government to create that environment that we can go and invest. Honestly, as you stated, the issue of dual citizenship or who owns land has a big tourism or investment or implication, and so we need to do a good job in that area. It's been wonderful getting you. There was a issue with, I know, Alex, I know your passion. I know you are passionate in your viewpoint. I respect that. But the exchange with you and Mr. Cesar Goya went out of control. I hope we as Modar said, we tolerate each other's view. And your approach of being this tough guy, you know, I think.
Look, I work on Wall Street, Mr. Dennis. I work on Wall Street. That's how I am. I work. That's how we do it. If you don't like it, then go to an area, go to church. You have to talk business and make money for our country. Then that there will be no lower standard than that.
So that is no, nothing is lower. And then concerning Mr. Eugene Nabwe, we will talk about that. Mr. Depo will go back and see why you're here. We expect our guests when they are not coming to give us the heads up, but I don't think this will be the better forum to address his absence or his refusal or his inability to get back with us, but we will address that. This has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to hear from Mr. Modar and all of you. Thank you for your contribution. And what's on the horizon for next week, Mr. Jones? What's coming up next week?
Well, we're going to be continuing the discussion, the diaspora investment. I think there's still a lot of areas for us to explore, and we encourage more people to come. Again, Mr. Modar, very much thank you for coming, and you're always welcome. You're part of the Liberian business and economic society now, so you're not a stranger. And so that will continue this topic on investment in the diaspora and promoting our Liberian businesses and setting up institutions, corporations, banks that are owned and controlled by Liberians. And so there's going to be a lot more attention coming.
Right, no more tantrum. No more tantrum. All right, tomorrow, 6 o'clock this time, we're going to be speaking on our African unity and African collaboration. I want to thank you guys for coming. And Mr. Modar, when you're coming back? How soon should we expect you?
I look forward to an invitation again.
All right, definitely.
I know exactly one thing that will bring this guy back. Real estate.
What is that?
Real estate development.
Look, I'm a proponent of Liberians taking charge. So if there's any way I can contribute to encourage more Liberians to participate in the economy, I will make myself available.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. I want to thank all contributors who posted comments on Facebook, who called in. I want to say thank you so much. I see some more comments from Mr. Goya. I'll be reaching out to you. And we encourage all of you to keep your dial focus here and focus on Liberia. Here we to 1000 San Pedro Avenue. Attempt to educate, to promote, to elevate all things Liberia. Until next time, my name is Dennis Jai saying good night and God bless.
Thank you.